Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a look at the final sets that are rotating. We've had a look at all the sets that are rotating so far, so now we need to just take a quick look at Dragon Majesty. And we need to take a look at the promo card. There are not many relevant promo cards rotating out, but there are a couple, so we will have a quick gander. So let's start off looking at Dragon Majesty then. Not a gigantic set. Not a set which absolutely set the competitive world on fire, but absolutely a set that had an impact and brought some really quite good cards in. So starting off then, Victini Prism Star. This, as far as I'm concerned, should be a one-of in every fire deck. It's fantastic. For 2 fire energy, you do 20 damage for each basic energy in your discard pile, and then you shuffle them all back into your deck. Didn't have to be used with fire energy, but you did have to have fire energy on Victini, so generally it was. Bearing in mind we had Welder that could accelerate 2 energy onto it and pay the attack cost very easily, and this was a very good card. It was a great single prize attacker, it was a great closer, it was great for getting energy back in your deck. Probably the best card from Dragon Majesty, though it did have some competition. Quagsire is equally as good in water decks. It's got an ability that lets you, as often as you like, move water energy from one of your bench Pokemon to your active. Initially, this was really good with Naganadel. Naganadel accelerates to its south, Quagsire moves it to the active. But actually, it's become really good with Frostmoth. Because Frostmoth has a phenomenal ability that lets you attach as much water energy as you like, but it has to be attached to your benched water Pokemon. So you attach it to Quagsire, move it to your active, and even if it's not benched, even if it's not a water Pokemon, you're good to go. Water decks just got a bit sad. Turtonator was a very nice card. It was a single prize attacker in big fire decks. Free energy, and you discarded as many fire energy from your Pokemon as you like, doing 50 more for each energy you discarded in this way. Yes, it worked with Naganadel. Yes, it worked with Welder. Yes, it was a really nice option in fire decks. You needed a single energy attacker, and honestly, Turtonator and Victini were the 2 best of them. Back to the drawing board, I suppose. Speaking of fire decks, Fiery Flint, and it shouldn't surprise you, this was a fire-heavy set. Fiery Flint let you discard 2 cards from your hand and search your deck for 4 fire energy cards. We're still going to have Giant Half, which is exactly half of this. Discard 1 card, search 2 fire energy. We're still going to have Fire Crystal to get 2 energy from our discard pile. We've still got options, but if Fiery Flint wasn't needed, we wouldn't be playing it. Our options are now worse. It was also a Dragon-y set though, and it brought in Lance Prism Star. Lance Prism Star should have made Dragon decks awesome, but we never really had the Dragon Pokemon to take advantage of it. You could only play it if one of your Pokemon was KO'd during your opponent's last turn, and it let you search your deck for 2 Dragon Pokemon and put them onto your bench, even if they were stage 2s, just straight onto your bench. It opened up all kinds of fun techie combos where you could play 1 Lance Prism Star, remember Prism Star was 1 in your deck, as well as 2 random stage 2 dragons, got used occasionally, but not all that much. Switch Raft was very much a fringe card that did see play in a bunch of water decks. It was a switch, but then you healed 30 from the Pokemon you just moved to your bench. Think of it like a very underpowered Mallow and Lana for water Pokemon. We're also losing Weller Volcano Park. Now, I love Weller Volcano Park. It is a stadium that basically says if you flip heads for burn, gutted, you're still burned. And it's kind of annoying we're losing it now because we're just getting Burning Scarf coming along in Rebel Clash. And that burns you when you attack the Pokemon with it attached. And it's kind of upsetting that we're losing it. Boo, hiss, etc. Not a huge fan of that. Sorry, Weller Volcano Park. Now, I think they were the bigger losses from Dragon Majesty, but there were a few other cards worth mentioning. Reshiram GX did see a little bit of play here and there. Very much a fringe techie kind of card, rather than a staple in every fire deck. But Reshiram GX had a rather nice attack, a GX attack, 4 energy, 180, and you could attach up to 5 fire energy from your hand to your Pokemon in any way you like. I didn't like either of the other attacks, but the GX attack that did damage while accelerating energy was very much worth a look. Wishy-Washy is one that never proved to be particularly great, but is one that I'm going to really miss because it had so much potential. Wishy-Washy only had 30 HP, but the ability gave all of your Wishy-Washy GX an extra 20 HP and let their attacks do an extra 20 damage, which means with 4 of these out, Wishy-Washy GX had 290 HP and was hitting 100 for a single energy. It never proved to be a good deck, but man, I wish it did. Dragonite GX came in with a huge amount of potential here. It had a GX attack for just 3 energy that let you bench 3 dragon Pokemon from your discard pile, even if they were stage 2s. So you could use Lance to get Dragonite and then Dragonite to get 3 others. 4 energy 200 was nice, although admittedly awkward to pay. There's another card that I really wanted to do better than it did. If you were playing any dragon Pokemon, Altaria was a very nice option. Just made all of your dragon Pokemon do an extra 20 damage, and was kind of noteworthy in that it was very similar to the Altaria from Dragons Exalted that let all of your dragon Pokemon do an extra 20 damage. Also for Dragon decks, Drampa was a decent option. 1 colourless energy, 20 damage, and you attached a basic energy from your discard pile to one of your dragon Pokemon. That was quite nice. And Blaine's Last Stand was a really quite nice option for fire decks. It let you draw 2 cards for each fire Pokemon you have in play, as long as it's the only card in your hand. Oh, wait a second, that one actually got reprinted in Hidden Fates, so will survive the rotation by virtue of the reprint. Cool. Now, in terms of promos, what we're actually rotating is Sun and Moon 94 to Sun and Moon 157. Now, Sun and Moon 94 was Wash Rotom, which makes perfect sense here, because of course that was a pre-release promo from Ultra Prism, and Ultra Prism is the older set that we're actually rotating out. So it makes sense that that one would be going. And similarly, the oldest promo we're keeping is 158, which is the Charizard pre-release promo from Team Up, which was the first promo from Team Up. So again, we're basically rotating all of the promos from Ultra Prism to Team Up. That kind of makes perfect sense to me. Now, in terms of the promos, there are a whole bunch of them. I should mention Lucario Gx. Lucario Gx actually got printed in Forbidden Light with the full art and the rainbow, etc. I didn't mention it in that video because it originally came as a promo, so we should probably mention it now. 1 fighting energy, 30 damage, but if it evolved this turn, you got to do 120 for a single energy. Not to mention a GX attack that for 2 energy did 30 damage for each damage counter on it, which was pretty gosh darn cool. And you had the usual tricks like Diancie Prism Star and for a while Strong Energy that could do more damage. It was quite trendy. Zoroark Lucario did win a bunch of tournaments here and there. It hasn't seen play for a while, but it was a good deck for quite a while. And I didn't mention it in the Forbidden Light video because I do still consider this to be a promo, so I suppose it had to be mentioned now. We are losing the promo Mimikyu that has Copycat, which is a really rather nice card that a bunch of people have used over the years. Now, for 2 energy, if your opponent used an attack that wasn't a GX attack last turn, you got to copy it. It originally came out in Guardians Rising. That didn't rotate because of the promo. The promo is now rotating, but it is worth mentioning that there is a fairy type that is exactly the same, other than it being a fairy type and obviously using fairy energy, which did get reprinted in Team Up. So although you're losing the psychic type, you do still have the fairy option. And the only other notable promo that we didn't talk about, like I say, there were a whole bunch out there that were also in sets that we haven't bothered mentioning. We talked about them in those videos. But the only other actual promo that is rotating is Duskmane Necrozma, which interestingly enough was promo Sun and Moon 107 and 124. It was primarily used for the first attack, 1 metal energy, 60 damage to one of your opponent's GX or EX. There was an Ultra Beast deck for a little while that used like Stack Attacker to get all beefy and use this for early damage in the early game. It did fall out of favour a while ago. Duskmane Necrozma keeps popping up, but it's not a powerhouse card. The free energy 100 damage if your opponent has one prize card remaining 200 damage was fun, but you'd rarely get it working. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I've now done a video about all 4 sets that are rotating, and this one collecting Dragon Majesty and the promos does mean that we've looked at every relevant card that will be rotating, unless you think I've missed one, in which case let me know in the comment section. So the usual question now, I want to hear from you guys. Which of these cards are you going to miss the most? Which of them do you wish was staying around? And of course, if you think I've mentioned some I shouldn't have, let me know. And if you think I've not mentioned some that I should have, let me know. Go nuts in the comment section, but please remember the rule. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are pretty gosh darned awesome nonetheless. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.